I still have the recipe card in my jewelry box. Coffee stained, corner torn, written in my mother's shaky cursive. Karen's chocolate chip cookies, the ones that fix everything. She gave it to me when I was pregnant with Emily. I never imagined I'd be the one who needed fixing, or that my own daughter would be the one to break me. The card sits on top of a cookbook I spent 6 months creating. 3 generations of family recipes, handwritten on cream-coloured pages, each one annotated with memories. My grandmother's Sunday pot roast that fed 12 people, on a teacher's salary. My mother's apple pie that she baked every time someone had a bad day. My own chicken soup that Emily begged for every time she had a cold. Every heartbreak. Every hard exam. 147 recipes. 6 months of work. Arthritis in my hands. Making every word a small battle. Emily looked at it for maybe 30 seconds before sliding it back across her granite kitchen island. Thanks, Mum, but we don't really cook like this anymore. I should have known then. But mothers are experts at not knowing what we don't want to see. I raised Emily alone after her father died when she was 3. A drunk driver on Aichin Muilam, gone in an instant, leaving me with a mortgage, a toddler, and a teacher's salary that never quite stretched far enough. I worked summer school every year. I tutored on weekends. I said no to every retirement fund contribution so I could say yes to Emily's piano lessons, her soccer fees, her college applications. When she graduated from Boston University with honors, I cried in the audience. When she got her first marketing job in the city, I helped her move into a studio apartment in Alston, carrying boxes up 4 flights of stairs. When she met Mark at some corporate networking event, I was happy she'd found someone. He was handsome, successful, seemed stable, a real estate agent who drove a Tesla and wore expensive watches. I should have paid more attention to how he looked at my 15-year-old Corolla, to the way he'd changed the subject whenever I talked about my teaching years, to how he called my neighborhood quaint in a tone that meant poor. But I was just grateful Emily had found someone, that she wouldn't be alone like I'd been. When they got married 5 years ago, I spent my entire savings on the wedding. $28,000. My retirement fund. Drained. Emily cried when I told her. Mum, you shouldn't have. But she didn't stop me. She had a Pinterest board with a very specific vision, and I wanted to give her everything I couldn't give her growing up. Mark's family contributed nothing. They had money. His father owned 3 car dealerships in Connecticut, but they said the wedding was the bride's family's responsibility. Traditional, they called it. Cheap, I thought, but I smiled and paid the caterer. 3 years ago, Emily called me crying. They'd been trying to buy an apartment in Cambridge, but the prices were insane. Mark's income was good, but Emily's marketing salary wasn't enough. They'd been outbid on 4 places. She was pregnant with Lily and wanted a real home before the baby came. Mom, she said, her voice breaking. I know I can't ask this, but we're so close. We found the perfect place. 2 bedrooms, walking distance to the good schools, but we need a bigger down payment, and the bank wants a co-signer for the mortgage. I'd just started collecting my pension. I had $43,000 in savings, rebuilt slowly over 5 years. It wasn't much, but it was supposed to be my cushion, my safety net. How much do you need? I asked. $150,000 for the down payment, and your signature for a $500,000 mortgage. Mom, I know it's too much to ask. I'll do it. I sold my mother's engagement ring, the only valuable thing I owned. I took out a loan against my pension. I co-signed papers I barely understood, with interest rates that made my stomach turn. Mark barely looked at me during the signing. He was too busy on his phone, already planning the renovation. But Emily hugged me so tight I couldn't breathe. Thank you, Mum. Thank you. When we're settled, you'll have your own room. You can visit whenever you want. Our home is your home. I believed her. For the first year, it was true. I visited every Sunday, helped with Lily when Emily went back to work, brought groceries, babysat. The apartment was beautiful. Exposed brick, hardwood floors, one of those minimalist spaces you see in magazines. Emily hired an interior designer. Everything was white and grey and carefully curated. My Tupperware of leftover soup looked out of place on their marble countertop. Mark started making comments. Small things. Karen, you should really cool before coming over. We're trying to maintain a certain aesthetic. Lily's on a schedule. Maybe check with us first. Emily would shush him, but she never contradicted him. I noticed she stopped inviting me to Sunday dinners, started responding to my texts hours later. When I asked if something was wrong, she'd say, "No, Mum, just busy." You understand. I did understand. I understood I was becoming inconvenient. 6 months ago, Lily turned 15. My granddaughter, who used to beg me for bedtime stories, who loved when I taught her to bake, I wanted to do something special for her sweet 16. Something meaningful. That's when I started the cookbook. I went through every recipe box in my apartment, called my cousins for dishes I'd forgotten, wrote everything by hand because it felt more personal. Each recipe had a story. Grandma Rose's meatloaf. She made this the night your mum got into college. Aunt Jean's brownies. These were at every birthday party when Emily was little. My famous chicken noodle soup. Ask your mum how many times this cured a broken heart. My hands cramped. My arthritis made every page painful. But I imagined Lily reading it, learning her family history through food, connecting to great-grandmothers she'd never meet, understanding where she came from. I brought it over on a Saturday afternoon 3 months ago. I'd called first, like Mark insisted. Emily said they'd be home. When I arrived, I could hear voices inside. Laughter. Music. I knocked, holding the cookbook wrapped in brown paper and twine. The door opened, and Mark stood there in a designer sweater, wineglass in hand. Karen. Not hi. Karen or. Come in. Just my name. Flat and annoyed. I called earlier. Emily said, "We have people over." Behind him, I could see other couples. Young, polished, probably his real estate friends. It's not really a good time. Emily appeared behind him. Her smile forced. "Mom, I forgot you were coming. You said Saturday at 4. I said, "Maybe Saturday. We're in the middle of a dinner party." She glanced back at her guests, then lowered her voice. "You really should have confirmed this morning." I held out the wrapped cookbook. I made this for Lily, for her birthday. It's family recipes. I thought, that's sweet, Mum. Emily took it without looking at it, set it on the entry table next to a stack of mail. Like junk mail. Like something to deal with later. We'll look at it when we have time. Mark and I are trying to move toward a more plant-based, clean-eating lifestyle anyway. You know, health-conscious. Mark snorted. Actually snorted. No offense, Karen. But I think we're good on the Midwestern comfort food recipes. My mother was from Iowa. She'd died 2 years ago. Mark. Emily's voice held warning. But it was soft. Performative. I just mean we're trying to evolve our palates. Lily's generation, they care about sustainability. Organic ingredients. Not like. He gestured vaguely at the cookbook. You know, not like you, he meant. Not like your peasant food. Not like your working-class background. I felt something crack inside my chest. I spent 6 months on that. Every recipe is handwritten. Your daughter's great-grandmother. And it's really thoughtful, Mum. Emily was already closing the door, inch by inch, but we've got guests waiting. We'll call you tomorrow, okay? The door shut. I stood in the hallway of their building, staring at that heavy oak door. Behind it, I heard laughter. Someone made a joke. I heard Emily's voice, bright and hostess perfect. Sorry about that. Where were we? I drove home in silence, parked in my driveway, sat in my car until the motion sensor light turned off, and I was in darkness. That was the night I should have understood. That was the night I should have pulled my money out, protected myself, accepted that my daughter had become someone I didn't recognize. But I'm a mother. And mothers are experts at giving one more chance. 2 weeks later, Emily called. Mom. About the cookbook. My heart lifted. She'd read it. She understood. Lily actually really loves it. She's been reading through it. Wants to try some recipes. Maybe you could teach her to bake sometime. I cried with relief. Of course. Anytime. Well, here's the thing. We're planning Lily's Sweet 16. It's going to be at this venue in Boston. Really nice. The party planner suggested a cooking class activity for the girls. I thought maybe you could... A party planner? Emily, I'd love to help plan. No, Mum, it's handled. Mark's mum knows this woman who does events. It's all very coordinated. It's not Smum, the paperful, but we thought for the cooking class portion, you could be there to supervise or something. Supervise. At my granddaughter's birthday party. Not plan. Not celebrate. Supervise. What about the cookbook? I thought Lily wanted to learn. Sure, yeah, she can look at it. But the party planner has a specific menu. Very Instagram-friendly. You know how important social media is for these kids. I wanted to scream. I wanted to say that when Emily turned 16, we'd had 12 of her friends in our tiny kitchen making pizza from scratch, flour everywhere, laughing until we cried. No party planner. No Instagram. Just love and chaos and memories. But I said, okay, I'd like to help. Great, I'll send you the details. Oh, and Mum, about visiting. Mark's been really stressed with work. Could you maybe just give us a heads up before coming over? Like, a few days' notice? It just helps us plan. That was 6 weeks ago. I gave them space. I called before visiting. I waited for invitations that never came. I texted Lily directly, but Emily had changed her phone plan, and I realized my messages weren't going through. Then, 2 weeks ago, I got an email from the bank. Urgent. Mortgage payment default. Notice. I had to read it 3 times before it made sense. The mortgage I co-signed, Emily and Mark's mortgage, was 3 months behind, 90 days late. My credit score had dropped 82 points. There were penalties, late fees, a formal notice of default. I called Emily immediately. It went to voicemail. I called Mark. Same. I texted. Got a notice from the bank about the mortgage. Are you okay? Do you need help? Emily texted back 6 hours later. All fine, Mum. Bank error. Don't worry, but I did worry. I called the bank directly. The representative was sympathetic but clear. Ma'am, the account is severely delinquent. As a co-signer, you're legally responsible. We need immediate payment of $8,400, plus penalties, or we'll begin foreclosure proceedings. $8,000 I didn't have. I called Emily again. This time she answered. Annoyed. Mom, I said it's handled. The bank says you owe over $8,000. Mark's commission check is delayed. It's real estate. You know how it is. We'll catch up. Emily, this affects my credit. I might need to take out a loan for my roof repairs. And now, Mum, I don't have time for this. I'm at work. We'll handle it. That's what adults do. They handle things. The condescension in her voice. Like I was a child. Like I hadn't been handling things alone for 31 years while raising her. I just want to understand what's happening. What's happening is you're overreacting. Like always. This is why Mark gets frustrated. You make everything into a drama. She hung up. I sat at my kitchen table, looking at that bank email. At my credit score alert. At the calendar showing the roof repair scheduled for next month that I might not be able to afford now. And I made a decision. I called my lawyer, Patricia. We'd gone to church together for 20 years. She'd helped with my will, my property deed. She was someone I trusted. Patricia, I need to know my options. If I co-signed a mortgage and they're defaulting, can I remove myself? Her silence was heavy. Karen, how bad is it? I told her everything. The down payment, the co-sign, the missed payments, my credit score, Emily's dismissiveness. Legally, Patricia said slowly, you can't just remove yourself from a co-sign agreement. But if they're in default, you have options. You could demand they refinance without you, or you could trigger a sale clause. But Karen, these are nuclear options. This is your daughter. I know. Before you do anything, talk to her, face to face. Make sure she understands the situation. I'll try. That was last Saturday. I called Emily. Asked if I could come over. She sighed, annoyed, but agreed. Fine. Tomorrow at 3. But just for an hour. Okay. We have plans. I drove to Cambridge Sunday afternoon. Parked on their street, where parking costs more per hour than I used to make in a day of teaching. Walked to their building with its secure entry and doorman. Rode the elevator to the 4th floor. I had my folder with me. Bank statements, default notices, credit score reports. I wasn't coming to fight. I was coming to solve this together. I knocked on their door. Mark answered. He looked annoyed to see me, which wasn't unusual. But this time, there was something else. Something harder. Karen. Hi, Mark. Emily said 3 o'clock. She's busy. I can wait. This is important. It's about the mortgage. Ride. We know what it's about. He didn't move from the doorway. And honestly, we're tired of the pressure. Pressure? Mark, you're 3 months behind. The bank is threatening foreclosure. This affects my T-Snow. Your credit score, we know. Emily told me. You've called her 4 times this week. Because she won't answer my questions. Because there's nothing to discuss. Mark crossed his arms. Behind him, I could see Emily on the couch, looking at her phone. She glanced up at me, then away. We're handling it. By not paying. By ruining my credit. By managing our finances the way we see fit. This is our home, Karen. We don't owe you a daily report. And it's not time. I felt my hands shaking. I gave you $150,000. I co-signed a $500,000 mortgage. I have every right to know $3,000. You gave us that money as a gift. His voice was cold. You said it was for your granddaughter, for Emily's future. Were those strings attached we didn't know about? That's not, because if you're going to hold it over our heads every time we make a decision you don't like, maybe we need to rethink this relationship. And well, my 40 time, the way he said this relationship, like I was a business partner, not family. Emily finally spoke up, her voice quiet. Mum, Mark's right. You're being really intense about this. We said we'd handle it. When? The bank needs payment by Friday. Or they start foreclosure. Then maybe you should have thought about that before offering to help. Mark's smile was cruel. Look, Karen, here's the reality. You wanted to play the generous mother-in-law. You wanted to feel needed. Well, this is what it looks like. Sometimes investments don't pan out the way you hoped. Investment. He called my love, my sacrifice, my entire savings. I need to talk to Emily. Alone. No. He didn't move. Whatever you have to say to her, you can say in front of me. We're married. We're a unit. I looked past him to my daughter. Emily was still on her phone, scrolling, not making eye contact. Emily, I said. Please. Just 5 minutes. She sighed. Actually sighed. Like I was the most exhausting thing in her world. Mum, what do you want me to say? We're going through a rough patch financially. Mark's deals take time. We'll catch up when we can. That's it. And my credit? My financial security? You're being dramatic. She finally looked at me, and her eyes were Mark's eyes. Cold. Assessing. You've always been like this. Overreacting. Making everything about you. I'm trying to build a life here, and you're always there. Wanting something. I don't want anything. I just want to be treated like a person who gave you everything, and there it is. Mark threw his hands up. The guilt trip. Classic I gave you everything you know what, Karen. Maybe we don't want everything from you. Maybe we just want you to back off. Mark, Emily's voice, held a note of warning, but it was soft. So soft. No, she needs to hear this. I could smell his cologne, something expensive and aggressive. You show up uninvited. You bring your sad little gifts that don't fit our lifestyle. You hover. You judge. You make Emily feel guilty for having a nice home, for marrying someone successful, for wanting something better than what you had. Each word hit like a punch. Better than what I had, I repeated. I had a daughter who loved me. I had family dinners and trust and respect. You had poverty, Mark said flatly. You had a dead husband and a mortgage you couldn't afford, and a kid you raised to feel guilty for wanting more. Emily's not you. She's not going to settle for some teaching job and a house in a dying suburb. She married up. Deal with it. The silence after was absolute. Emily said nothing. She looked at her phone. I felt something break inside me. Not crack. Break. Completely. I should go. Yeah, Mark said. You should. And Karen, next time you want to visit, call first. Actually, you know what? Just don't. Stay away from us. We'll reach out when we're ready. Stay away from us. I looked at Emily one more time, waiting for her to say something. To defend me. To tell him he'd gone too far. She put her phone down. Mom, he's right. You need to give us space. This is our home. These are our boundaries. Please respect that. Our boundaries. Our home. Not yours. I turned to leave. My hands were shaking so badly I dropped my folder. Papers scattered across their hardwood floor. Bank statements. Default notices. Proof of my financial sacrifice and their betrayal. I bent to gather them. Mark didn't move. Emily didn't help. As I reached for the last paper, Mark stepped closer. Let me make this crystal clear. We don't need you. We don't want you. Your money. Your recipes. Your advice. Keep it. We're done playing happy family to make you feel useful. Are we clear? I stood up. Papers clutched to my chest. My hip hurt. My hands ached. My heart was in pieces on their expensive floor. Crystal clear. I turned toward the door. That's when Mark put his hand on my shoulder. Not gentle. Not comforting. Firm. Directing. Good. I'll walk you out. His grip tightened. He started steering me toward the door. I tried to pull away, but he was stronger, younger, angrier. Mark, I can. Just making sure you actually leave this time. We reached the door. He opened it with one hand, the other still gripping my shoulder. Then he pushed. Not hard. He'd probably say later it wasn't hard. Just a guiding push. Just encouraging me to leave. But I'm 62. I have osteoporosis. My balance isn't what it was. My hip caught the edge of their coffee table. That beautiful glass and metal coffee table that cost $4,000. I felt something pop. The pain was instant and blinding. I stumbled, tried to catch myself, and went down hard. My shoulder hit first. Then my head. I heard Emily gasp. Mark! I was on their floor. My face against that hardwood we'd helped pay for. Pain shooting through my shoulder, my hip, the room spinning. I heard Mark. She tripped. She obviously tripped. I tried to push myself up, but my right arm wouldn't work. Wouldn't bear weight. The pain in my shoulder was unlike anything I'd felt. Mom! Emily's voice, finally showing concern. But she didn't move toward me. Didn't help. I got to my knees. My vision was blurry. I tasted blood. I'm calling Chincham, I said. My voice came out wrong. Shaky. Don't be ridiculous, Mark said. You're fine. You just tripped. You pushed me. I helped you to the door. You're being dramatic. Again. Emily, tell her. I looked at my daughter. She was pale, her hand over her mouth. Emily. She looked between Mark and me. Her husband and her mother. I saw the calculation in her eyes. You did trip, Mum. You've been seeming unsteady lately. That's when I knew. She would choose him. She would choose their expensive apartment and their carefully curated life, and her husband's version of events. She would choose everything except me. I pulled out my phone with my left hand, my right arm useless. Dialed Chincham. Ma'am. What's your emergency? I've been assaulted. I've fallen. I think my shoulder is broken. Mark swore. You're insane. The Chincham operator's voice was calm. Where are you located? I gave them the address. Emily's address. The address I'd helped make possible. Ma'am, are you in immediate danger? I looked at Mark's face. At Emily's frozen expression. I don't know. Stay on the line. Help is coming. Are you injured? My shoulder. My hip. I can't move my arm. Don't try to move. Is anyone there with you? My daughter. Her husband. The one who pushed me. Mom! Emily's voice was sharp. He didn't push you. Don't tell them that. But I was done protecting them. Done making excuses. Done being small and grateful and convenient. The paramedics arrived 12 minutes later. By then, I'd managed to sit up against their couch. My right arm hung wrong. The pain was making me nauseous. Mark and Emily had moved to the kitchen. I could hear them arguing in fierce whispers. When the EMTs knocked, Mark opened the door with his realtor smile. Thank God you're here. My mother-in-law had a fall. She's getting on in years, you know. Unsteady. The female EMT knelt beside me. Ma'am, can you tell me what happened? He pushed me. I hit the coffee table and went down. Mark's voice loud. That's absolutely not what happened. She tripped. The EMT ignored him. She was checking my shoulder, my pupils. You're going to need x-rays, possible fracture. We need to get you to the hospital. As they loaded me onto the gurney, Emily finally approached. Mom, I'll come with you. No, but stay away from me. I used her words. Mark's words. Their words. The EMT looked between us, understanding dawning in her eyes. She'd seen this before. Elder abuse, family violence. At the hospital, they confirmed it. Fractured clavicle. Severe bruising on my hip. Mild concussion. The doctor was a young woman with kind eyes. Mrs. Harrison, these injuries are consistent with a fall, but I need to ask, did someone hurt you? I thought about lying. Protecting Emily. Being the good mother who doesn't make trouble. Instead, I said, yes. Who? My son-in-law. He pushed me. My daughter watched. She nodded slowly. I'm required to report this. Would you like to file a police report? I thought about it. Really thought about it. But I knew how it would go. Mark would say I tripped. Emily would back him up. It would be my word against theirs. And I was the hysterical old woman who couldn't let go. No, I said. Not yet, but I want it documented. Every injury. Every detail. She understood. I'll make sure it's all in your medical record. If you change your mind. Thank you. They gave me a sling. Pain medication. Instructions for follow-up. The discharge nurse slipped me a card for a domestic violence hotline. I took it. At home that night, my apartment had never felt so empty. I sat at my kitchen table with the bottle of pain pills and the hotline card, and my phone full of missed calls from Emily. I didn't answer. Instead, I called Patricia. I'm ready, I said. Tell me my options. We met the next morning at her office. My arm was in a sling, bruises blooming purple across my shoulder. Patricia's face went pale when she saw me. Jesus, Karen. What happened? I told her everything. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. Then, I need to be very clear about this. If you pursue removing yourself from their mortgage, and they can't qualify on their own, they'll likely face foreclosure. They'll lose the apartment. Your entire down payment. Everything. I know. This is your daughter. I know. My voice broke. But she's not my daughter anymore. I don't know who she is, but she's not the girl I raised, and I can't keep sacrificing myself for someone who sees me as an investment that didn't pan out. Patricia pulled out a legal pad. Here's what we can do. Since they're in default, you have grounds to demand they refinance without your name on the loan. We'll send a formal legal notice. They'll have 30 days to refinance or pay you back the down payment. If they can't do either, the bank will likely foreclose, or they'll have to sell. Will I get my money back? Maybe. Depends on what the apartment sells for, what they owe. Honestly, probably not all of it. Maybe not most of it. But you'll be free of the liability. I thought about the $43,000 I'd saved, the $150,000 I'd given, the money I'd never see again. Do it, Patricia nodded. There's something else you should consider. The assault. Even if you don't want to press charges, you should document everything. Photos of your injuries, medical records, just in case they try to fight this legally. They could claim you're doing this vindictively. That it's elder abuse, false accusations. It's not false. I know. But they'll hire lawyers, good ones. You need to protect yourself. For the next week, I did everything Patricia suggested. I photographed my bruises as they darkened and spread. I went to every follow-up appointment. I kept every receipt, every medical record. I documented everything. Emily called 17 times in the first 2 days. I didn't answer. Emily called 17 times. I didn't answer. She texted, "Mum, please. We need to talk. Then, I'm sorry about what happened. Can we start over? Then, you're being childish. It was an accident. Then, fine." Mark sent one text. "We expect better from you." I blocked them both. On Friday, exactly 1 week after they'd pushed me out their door, Patricia sent the legal notice. Formal demand to refinance without my cosign within 30 days, or return the $150,000 down payment in full. I didn't tell them it was coming. I didn't warn them. They'd told me to stay away. So I was staying away. Completely. The next morning, my phone started ringing at Bay AM. Emily. Call 1. I was having coffee. My arms still in a sling. Call 2. I added cream to my coffee. Call 3. Mark's number. I'd blocked it, but he was calling from Emily's phone. Call 4. Then texts started flooding in. My phone, which I'd unblocked to receive the legal confirmation, lit up like a slot machine. "Mum, answer your phone. This is insane. You can't do this. Call us now. You're ruining us. We'll lose everything." I sipped my coffee and watched the messages pile up. Call 5. 6. 7. By noon, I'd gotten 47 missed calls. By 3 p.m., there was someone at my door. I looked through the peephole. Emily, her face red and swollen from crying. Mark behind her, his jaw tight. Emily was holding Lily, my granddaughter, who I hadn't seen in 6 weeks, who they'd kept from me. They were using her, bringing her here like a shield, a bargaining chip. Emily pounded on the door. "Mum, I know you're in there. Please, we need to talk. Please." I stayed silent. "Mum, we're sorry, okay? We're sorry. About everything. Just open the door. Please, don't do this." Mark's voice. Harder. "Karen, be reasonable. Think about Lily. Think about your granddaughter. You'd really do this to her. Using my granddaughter against me." I pulled out my phone, texted Emily. "You told me to stay away. I'm staying away. Please leave my property." Emily's phone buzzed. She looked at it, started crying harder. "Mum, please." We didn't mean it. Things got heated. People say things they don't mean. Your family. We need you. Not we love you. Not we were wrong. We need you. I texted again. "You have 30 days to refinance or repay the down payment. My lawyer has my instructions. Do not contact me again." "Mum." I watched through the peephole as Emily collapsed against my door, sobbing. As Mark pulled her up, his face twisted with rage. As they used Lily, my sweet granddaughter, who looked confused and scared. As one more manipulation, then I walked away from the door, went to my bedroom, put in earplugs. They left after 20 minutes. That was 4 days ago. Yesterday, I got a call from Patricia. "Karen, they're trying to refinance, but their credit isn't good enough without your cosign. Mark's commission income is too variable. Emily's salary alone won't cover it." The bank said no. What does that mean? It means they have 26 days left to come up with $150,000 cash. Or the bank will begin foreclosure proceedings. I thought about that. About Emily losing her dream apartment. About Lily having to move. About them losing everything. I thought about my fractured clavicle. About being pushed. About being called an investment that didn't pan out. "Okay," I said. "Karen, are you sure?" I looked around my small apartment. The apartment I'd lived in for 33 years. The one with the squeaky floorboards and the temperamental heating. And the neighbours I've known forever. The one that was mine, paid off, safe. The one they'd called quaint with contempt. I'm sure. This morning, I received an email from Emily. The first one she'd sent in weeks. And expecting. She despecting. Subject. Please. Body. Mum. I don't know what else to say. I'm sorry. Mark's sorry. We made a terrible mistake. We were stressed about money and we took it out on you. You're right. What we did was wrong. What Mark did was wrong. But please, don't punish Lily for our mistakes. She loves you. She asks about you every day. She wants to see you. She's reading your cookbook. She keeps asking when you're coming over. Please don't abandon her because we messed up. Please. I read it 3 times. Then I replied, Emily, I did not abandon Lily. You kept her from me. You used her as a prop yesterday to try to manipulate me into saving you from the consequences of your own actions. You have 25 days to refinance or repay me. If you cannot do either, you'll need to sell the apartment. I suggest you start looking for somewhere you can actually afford. As for Lily, tell her her grandmother loves her. Tell her when she's 18 she can contact me directly. Until then, you've made it clear I'm not welcome in your life. I'm simply respecting your boundaries. Mom. I hit send. Then I blocked her email. There's a coffee shop 3 blocks from here that I've never been to. I've driven past it 1,000 times. Always meaning to try it. Never making time. This morning, I went. I ordered something called a cortado. I sat at the window and watched people walk by. Young mothers with strollers. Elderly couples holding hands. Teenagers loud and fearless. The barista asked if I was okay. I realized I was crying. I'm fine, I said. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. I'm fine, I said. And I meant it. The cookbook is still in my jewelry box, along with my mother's recipe card. I might make those chocolate chip cookies later. The ones that fix everything. They won't fix this. I know that. But they'll remind me of who I am. A woman who raised a daughter alone, who survived poverty and grief and loneliness, who gave everything she had because that's what love meant to her. They'll remind me that I'm not an investment. I'm not a convenience. I'm not an obligation or a burden or something to be tolerated when necessary. I'm a person who deserves respect. And sometimes, teaching that lesson means letting someone lose what they took for granted. Sometimes love has to be tough enough to let them fall. 25 days from now, Emily and Mark will lose their apartment. They'll have to move somewhere smaller, cheaper. They'll have to face the consequences of spending beyond their means, of treating me like a bank instead of a mother, of pushing me down when I ask for basic human decency. And I'll still be here, in my small, paid-off apartment, with my recipes and my memories and my self-respect intact. They told me to stay away, so I stayed away. And I'm learning that sometimes the biggest gift you can give someone is letting them face the world without you, even when that someone is your daughter, even when it breaks your heart. Especially then. I have my cortado, and my cookbook, and my life ahead of me. That's more than they left me with. And you know what? It's enough.